Dear viewers, greetings. In this video, we are going to see the various types of emission spectroscopy. Emission spectroscopy includes various techniques that analyze light which is emitted by a sample after it had absorbed energy. Here, there are main types of spectroscopy. They are fluorescence spectroscopy, phosphorescence spectroscopy, atomic emission spectroscopy, molecular emission spectroscopy, Raman spectroscopy, cavity ring down spectroscopy, laser induced breakdown spectroscopy, X-ray emission spectroscopy, and photoelectron emission spectroscopy. The first type of emission spectroscopy is fluorescence spectroscopy. Fluorescence spectroscopy measures the light emitted by a substance after it had absorbed light or other electromagnetic radiations and subsequently re-emitted it. Fluorescence spectroscopy is widely used in biological and chemical analysis to study molecular interactions, detect low concentration of fluorophores, and analyze environmental samples. The second type of emission spectroscopy is phosphorescence spectroscopy. Similar to the fluorescence, but phosphorescence involved a long-lived excited state. It occurs when electrons are trapped in a metastable state, leading to a delayed emission of light after the excitation source is removed. The phosphorescence spectroscopy is used to study materials that exhibit long-lived luminescence, such as glow-in-the-dark materials and certain biological systems. The third type of emission spectroscopy is atomic emission spectroscopy. The atomic emission spectroscopy analyzes the light emitted by atoms in a gaseous state after they have been excited. Example, by heat, flame, or electrical discharge. The emitted light is characteristic of the elements which are present in the sample. Regarding applications, atomic emission spectroscopy is commonly used in analytical chemistry for elemental analysis and quantification of metals in various samples, including environmental, clinical, and industrial samples. Techniques includes flame emission spectroscopy or FES and inductively coupled plasma optical emission spectroscopy or ICP-OES. The fourth type of emission spectroscopy is molecular emission spectroscopy. The molecular emission spectroscopy focuses on the emission of light from molecules after they have been excited, often involving transitions between electron states. Molecular emission spectroscopy is used for studying molecular structures, dynamics, and interactions. It can provide information about vibrational and rotational transitions within the molecules. The fifth type of emission spectroscopy is Raman spectroscopy. The Raman spectroscopy is a form of molecular emission spectroscopy that relies on inelastic scattering of monochromatic light, usually from a laser, by a molecule. The scattered light provides information about molecular vibrations, rotations, and other low frequency modes. Raman spectroscopy is useful for identifying molecular species, characterizing chemical compounds, and studying molecular interactions and structural changes. The sixth type of the emission spectroscopy is cavity ring down spectroscopy. In short form, it is called as CRDS. The cavity ring down spectroscopy measures the decay time of light in an optical cavity. As light is emitted from the sample, the time it takes for the light intensity to decrease is measured and providing information about the sample's properties. The cavity ring down spectroscopy is a highly sensitive technique used for trace gas detection, studying ultra-fast chemical reactions, and investigating atmospheric chemistry. The seventh type of the emission spectroscopy is laser-induced breakdown spectroscopy. The laser-induced breakdown spectroscopy or LIBS involves focusing a high-energy laser pulse onto a sample, creating a plasma that emits light. The emitted light is analyzed to determine the elemental composition of the sample. Regarding applications, laser-induced breakdown spectroscopy is used for rapid element analysis in various fields, including environmental monitoring, material science and geological studies. The eighth type of emission spectroscopy is X-ray emission spectroscopy. The X-ray emission spectroscopy analyzes the X-rays emitted by a sample after being excited by high energy radiations. Example, X-rays or gamma rays. The emitted X-rays are characteristic of the elements which are present in the sample. Regarding applications, X-ray emission spectroscopy is used for elemental analysis and characterization of materials, particularly in solid state physics, material science and chemistry. The ninth and final type of emission spectroscopy is photoelectron emission spectroscopy. In short form, it is called as PES. The photoelectron emission spectroscopy measures the kinetic energy of electrons ejected from a sample upon irradiation with ultraviolet or X-ray photons. The energy distribution of the emitted electrons provides an information about the electronic structure of the material. The photoelectron emission spectroscopy is widely used in surface science, material science, and quantum chemistry to study the electronic states and chemical bondings. Dear viewers, that's all about the various types of emission spectroscopy. Thank you for your support. Thank you.